Would you spend more than £350 for a festival when you didn't even know who was headlining? That's exactly what happened in November last year, when all standard tickets for the Glastonbury Festival sold out in under an hour, months before the full lineup was even announced. That shows the power of music as a pull factor, the driving force of the music tourism industry. Stockholm, for example, estimated visitors from 135 countries came to the city for Taylor Swift's 3 shows in May. Travel companies like Expedia and Amadeus have started to research the impact of concerts on trips. Music has the power to make us move, but what drives more and more people to travel to another city or even another country to attend a music event? My name is Gabriele, Statista expert for arts and culture and travel and tourism, and I will give you some key insights into one of the most recent travel trends, music tourism. Let's first take a small step back and mention something that is becoming increasingly important to tourists: experiences. In a survey by TripAdvisor, 2/3 of travelers worldwide said they now valued experiences over material possessions more than they did in the past. This shift from owning intangible things to collecting memorable experiences is driven primarily by younger generations, with 7 in 10 Gen Z travelers believing that events, attractions and activities will be an extremely important aspect of their next trip. Although the growing interest in experiential travel didn't happen overnight, the COVID pandemic has played a big role in boosting this new emphasis on experiences over things, and consumers' attitudes have changed across different markets following a similar pattern. In this respect, a study published by the Mastercard Economics Institute analyzed how global inbound tourism spending has developed since the outbreak of the health crisis. Specifically, it compared the change in international visitors spending on experiences, such as visiting nightclubs and bars or attending an event, versus spending on things, including purchases of clothing, books, jewelry, or toy. According to the analysis, in France, the country with the highest number of international tourist arrivals worldwide, inbound tourism spending on experiences grew faster than expenditure on items following the ease of all travel restrictions. And France was anything but an exception, as the same trend applied to all major global destinations for inbound tourism, like Spain, the United States, or Italy, where spending by international visitors on experiences more than doubled compared to 2019. With the rise in experiential travel, the post-pandemic rebound in gig attendance, and the big tours planned in Europe this year, it is clear why music tourism has been hailed as one of the main travel trends for the region. Above all, fans are starting to consider concerts as an opportunity to explore a new destination while seeing their favorite artists play live. In an Expedia poll conducted across 14 countries worldwide, roughly 70% of respondents mentioned being more likely than ever to travel to a concert outside their hometown. Interestingly, 3 in 10 travelers also said that they would make such a trip because tickets were cheaper elsewhere. This specific aspect becomes particularly relevant when looking at the tours of very popular artists such as Beyoncé, Coldplay and Taylor Swift. In this case, it is not uncommon that due to high demand and prices of tickets in larger cities, fans consider traveling to an alternative destination, ending up paying less for the concert, transport and lodging combined. But how common is traveling to attend music events in Europe, and how does this trend change across different countries? Since May 2022, the European Travel Commission has tracked the share of Europeans who are planning a trip within the region for reasons like attending a festival or a sports tournament. Although these figures do not focus exclusively on music, they are useful to understand the actual interest in traveling for the specific purpose of an event, rather than purely leisure or business trips, or to visit friends and relatives. When looking at recent data on travel intentions in Europe, planning a trip to attend an event peaked in the period between June and November, with nearly 10% of respondents most likely to travel for this reason. More Europeans intended to travel for an event than for work-related purposes over the period considered. It is worth mentioning that the data refers to either domestic travel or trips abroad to another European destination. Both cases are relevant to our topic, since music tourism does not only refer to international visits, but also includes people who travel within their own country, outside their familiar environment. In fact, a study by the European Festival Association Europe, involving over 200 music festivals from 29 countries across the region, reveals that domestic visitors are the backbone of such events. That said, music festivals do succeed in attracting international travelers, with inbound visitors accounting for up to 10% of the audience for 6 out of 10 events. Overall, more than a quarter of festivals experience an annual increase in visitors from abroad, while some events manage to become real drivers of international tourism. The same report, for instance, highlights the case of the Exit Festival in the Serbian city of Novi Sad, whose latest edition attracted over 200,000 people. As reported by the festival, nearly 2/3 of visitors who attended Exit last year came from abroad, and roughly 37% were in Novi Sad for the first time. Trying to distinguish between those who travel for a concert in general and those who will travel abroad for the same reason is particularly important when analyzing this market from a regional perspective. Because fans in some countries may be more inclined than others to music tourism, but perhaps less willing to take an international music trip. For example, in an Amadeus survey of 4 European markets, Spain and the United Kingdom had the highest share of music tourists, with just under half of respondents having previously travelled to attend a concert or festival. But when focusing on the respondents who had travelled abroad for a music event, Germany takes the lead, with twice as many Germans as Britons saying they had previously travelled to take an international music trip. Speaking of the United Kingdom and Germany, these 2 countries can help us answer one of the main questions at the heart of this whole topic. What is the economic impact of music tourism? Although there are currently no studies on the overall impact of music tourism in Europe as a whole, focusing on the UK and Germany is a good starting point to assess the economic contribution and habits of music tourists in the 2 largest European markets for music event revenue. Based on Statista estimates, these 2 countries combined accounted for almost 40% of the over $9 billion generated by the music events market in Europe last year. So let's start with the biggest market, the United Kingdom. According to the latest report published by UK Music, the number of tourists who attended live music events in the United Kingdom, including both domestic and international travellers, has recovered from the impact of the COVID pandemic, exceeding 14 million. Of this, over 1 million were music tourists coming from abroad. London alone, famous for its rich offer of clubs, music venues and performing arts centres, attracted approximately 1/3 of all travellers, ranking ahead of the northwest of England, whose largest cities are Manchester and Liverpool. Ultimately, when considering the total spending generated by music tourism in the United Kingdom, the study estimated a contribution of £6.6 billion to the UK economy, the highest expenditure reported to date. This figure refers to both direct and indirect spending generated by tourists, including ticket sales, merch, food and drink purchases, as well as spending outside of venues like accommodation and travel expenses. While staying on the topic on spending, moving from the UK to the German market will now give us the opportunity to pass from a more general perspective to a specific one, that of festival goers. This is interesting to estimate how much consumers usually plan to spend to attend an event of this kind. Based on a Festival Fire study of 15,000 festival visitors, 4 in 10 Germans reporting paid over €200 on the event tickets alone, with a similar share of respondents spending over €100 on travel expenses for the festival. On top of that, there is of course the expenditure during the event, which ranged between €100 and €200 for 1/3 of the sample, but rose to an extra €100 for 1/4 of the interviewed consumers. Having analysed the music tourism phenomenon in the broader context of experiential travel and examined the traveller's point of view, I think it now makes sense to learn more about the actual product, the music festivals and concerts themselves. So let's find out what the music festival offer in Europe looks like and what are the biggest tours that could have an impact on music tourism this summer. We say music festivals and automatically think of big stages, campsites, food trucks and bars. This is especially true of larger events, but the range of music festivals in Europe is very diverse. It also includes, for example, showcase festivals dedicated primarily to music industry professionals. Then, before taking a look at individual events, let's go back to the Europe study, as it provides a clear overview of the broad spectrum of music festivals offered in the region. Among the over 200 festivals surveyed, the fact that most of them were city-based shows an interest in promoting the event as part of a broader tourism product, which combines concert attendance with visit to the destination's attractions. When breaking down the festivals by daily capacity, the variety of the offer in Europe looks even clearer, as there is a fairly balanced representation of different sizes. The chart, anyway, suggests that mid-size events are a popular formula, as festivals that welcome between 5,000 and 20,000 visitors per day accounted for over a third of the sample. Overall, data on the average ticket price for a festival with a capacity above 10,000 people show that the €200 threshold for all event tickets was crossed in 2023, marking an increase of more than €15 over the previous year. Given the very different formats, sizes and location of festivals across Europe, it makes more sense to analyze individual events by category rather than just focusing on the most visited ones. This is also the method applied by the European Festival Awards, which classify events as major, medium-sized and small, based on daily capacity. So let's use a similar approach and take a look at some of the most interesting festivals in the region, grouping them based on similar attendance and product type. Among the major festivals that are city-based, the Amsterdam Dance Event in the Netherlands and the Ziget Festival in Budapest are those that gather the largest crowds, welcoming around 500,000 and 420,000 people respectively. Barcelona's Primavera Sound is another success story from the same category, with the format now being exported to other countries like Portugal, whose one of the biggest festivals is Lisbon's Nos Alive. While large tourist cities certainly play a role in attracting music fans to such events, some festivals have preferred to opt for alternative location and have managed to become equally popular. Think of the Glastonbury Festival, located in the fields of Pilton, a tiny village in the southwest of England, or Tomorrowland in Boom, a Belgian town in the province of Antwerp. Meanwhile, Bilbao's BBK Festival relies on an interesting mix of the two formats seen so far, being organized on the slopes of Mount Cubetas, a natural area that can be easily reached from the city centre. Moving from the outdoor to the indoor format, we find events that often span multiple venues, putting the local scene of clubs, theatres and art spaces at the centre of the entire festival experience. This is the case with the Dot to Dot Festival in Nottingham and Bristol, Turin's C2C and Le Guess Who in Utrecht. Sometimes these indoor events also include a showcase format with conferences and activities for music industry professionals, as is the case with the Reeperbahn Festival in Hamburg, Eurosonic in Groningen or Ment in Ljubljana. Finally, so-called boutique festivals purposely keep the size of the event smaller to provide a more intimate and sustainable experience in picturesque location. With the daily capacity of around 3,000 people, both Ipsigro in Sicily and Love International in Croatia are good examples of this format, the former being held in a medieval town, the latter on a beach at the Dalmatian coast. Besides the rich festival scene, some big European tours planned for the spring and summer are expected to have a significant impact on tourism, being able to attract more people in a single day than most events in the region. We are talking about artists across different music genres, but with something in common: a huge global fan base. Think of bands like Coldplay and AC/DC with 33 and 21 shows in Europe in 2024, respectively, or the reggaeton and Latin pop star J Balvin. But when it comes to the most awaited and the most analyzed music tour in the region, there is little doubt about which artist will take the crown. With 51 dates spread across 13 countries and an estimated total attendance of 2.9 million, I think we will hear a lot about Taylor Swift in Europe this summer. From a music tourism perspective, the European leg of the Eras tours has been pretty much dissected. So let's take a look at the Taylor Swift effect on different travel and tourism markets. Starting with flight bookings, an analysis by online travel agency Opodo investigated how searches for European cities on Taylor Swift concert dates changed compared to the same period of the previous year. The result? Destinations such as Stockholm and Warsaw saw an annual increase of nearly 500 and more than 300%, whereas searches for flights to Edinburgh, Liverpool and Paris all grew by over 100% year on year. With the huge increase in demand, a boost in accommodation prices does not seem like a big surprise. However, a study by Lighthouse suggests that a sharp rise in average hotel room rates will not be universal. It's Warsaw and Stockholm again that see the most significant changes, with hotel room prices expected to grow by more than 100% during the Eras Tour dates compared to the week before and the week after. By contrast, destinations like Paris and London will experience a price increase of less than 10%. If you think that the figures for flight bookings and hotel prices are already impressive, wait until you see the data on short-term rentals. Based on our DNA estimates, demand for short-term rentals in Vienna and Warsaw during the concert dates increased by a staggering 2,000% over the previous year. Meanwhile, Milan, Munich and Hamburg also experienced big spikes in year-on-year demand pacing. In conclusion, be it for a concert, festival or music conference, traveling to attend a music event is a trend that the tourism sector has started to follow closely, and for good reason. With its impact ranging from aviation and hospitality to destination marketing and visitor attraction, music tourism could become one of the headline acts of the travel industry. Thank you so much for joining us today. To discover more insights into music tourism, we have linked to all relevant publication and topic pages in the descriptions. For all your data needs, visit Statista.com, and for more expert-led insights across industry, make sure you sign up for future webinars. Thank you.